Thank you for watching NMH at 1, where we highlight the news making headlines in the land of the brave and beyond, ranging from current affairs, community stories, sports, and economic news. Here are the news headlines read to you by Aina Kweyom. In the news today, parents stab Eldorado teacher with screwdriver. Namibian police kicks off recruitment campaign. Landslide kills at least 19 people in DRC. Major oil powers led by Saudi Arabia announced a surprise production cut from May of more than 1 million barrels per day. The reductions on top of the Russian decision to extend a cut of 500,000 barrels per day, and despite U.S. calls to increase production, risk stocking, inflation and pressure to rise interest rates, Fin24 reported. Now Namibia's 10 billion Namibian dollars import bill in January 2023 was mainly driven by petroleum oil sourced from Saudi Arabia, Malaysia, and Singapore, according to the Namibian Statistics Agency. Remember to engage with these stories on our social media throughout the broadcast. The visual news coming up after the break.
Take a load off and tune into another episode of Brave Namibia, as we take a look at both ordinary and extraordinary Namibians. Brave Namibia is broadcasted on NTV Saturdays at 6:30 p.m. and 1up2.com, as well as broadcasted on the following Facebook platforms on Wednesday at 5:30 p.m. Republican, Allgemeine Zeitung, Namibian Sun, and all Namibia Media Holdings pages. For more information, contact the Brave team at brave@synergy.com.na. Brave Namibia, for the ordinary and extraordinary Namibians.
In our visual news today, after a stabbing incident at Eldorado Secondary School, the acting Deputy Executive Director of the Ministry of Education, Arts and Culture, Noxa Imbua, gave an update on the ministry's stance on the stabbing. The incident took place yesterday as a teacher was stabbed by a parent after his child was allegedly assaulted by the teacher. Let's have a look.
Thank you. I must maybe reiterate that it's a matter that we do not take lightly. We, as a ministry, through the regional office, has sanctioned an investigation, a preliminary investigation, in order to establish the circumstances that led to this very unfortunate event. We have also reactivated to ensure that we reinforce our school safety measures that, in fact, are expected to be in place at all times. We have also advised the school, and they've done so, to go and open a criminal case against the perpetrator, being this parent, with the relevant police station. So that has been done. We would conduct a full or a detailed investigation in order to determine the nitty-gritties that led to this issue. In our case, we consider this a criminal case that should also include the engagement of our police, so that they deal with the issue. We have also internal mechanism in place where the affected teacher would be assisted with counseling using our operators in-house. But nonetheless, the education activities would continue regardless. Yeah.
Okay, what is your say on corporal disciplinary?
Well, our policy is very clear. We do not allow corporal punishment to our learners. As I'm indicating, we would investigate, but what we all always advocate is that regardless of the level of transgressions that the learner undertakes at schools, there should be no corporal punishment. We have punitive measures that are in place to deal with issues of ill discipline among learners, but physical punishment, such as corporal punishment, is not among those measures.
As per our arrival yesterday, we found teachers with weapons that they found in the kids' bags and pockets. What do you think should be implemented for the kids not to bring weapons to school?
As I indicated, we need to enforce our school safety measures. In other words, ensure that all of security measures are observed. We also would engage, particularly the parents, because these are children coming from somebody's home, where we believe any measures to ensure the security of the school and those within the school, being the community itself, must start with the parents. And for us, issues of awareness among the school communities, and in particular the learners themselves, is important. Not only for this school, but again, it's an incident that alerts us to the need to ensure that at all times we must be alert at all our schools. We have security presence at all our schools, but I think it's unfortunate that at this point in time we were caught off guard. And I think the advice and the directives to all the regional offices and the circuits and the schools is that they must immediately ensure the enforcement and the strengthening of the security measures. That no school children should be allowed to come with weapons within the school premises. Those that have fencing, I think we would be introducing searches at schools randomly to ensure that these incidents does not take place. I must also indicate that we shall be engaging with the police to ensure that they assist us with random searches of schools to try and avert incidences such as this.
Thank you so much, sir.
All right.
Okay,
Thank you.
Apologies for the error. The incident took place on Thursday. Now moving on, the SWAPO Party Youth League says it will take government to task to ensure resolutions to uplift the youth are fast-tracked. An update on this story follows in our newspaper review segment. Stay with us.
Ohole So Nice is an entertainment show brought to you by the youth for the youth. This is a dating show that allows individuals to participate and be their own true selves. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact zone@synergy.com.na.
According to the Namibian Sun front page, the SWAPO Party Youth League will take government to task to ensure resolutions made to uplift the country's youth are fast-tracked. During a press conference in Rundu on Saturday, spokesperson Moses Chirekete said SPYL is confident that the SWAPO-led government has tangible and practical solutions to solve youth unemployment. He further questioned why there is a growing number of frustrated, unemployed youth when government policies are indeed being implemented as was promised. Government can no longer delay the implementation of resolutions it took at the party's elective Congress in November, he added. The paper also reports that after allegedly slapping a learner, a teacher from Eldorado Secondary School was stabbed with a screwdriver by the child's disgruntled parent. The victim, who was identified only as Master Kalola by the head of Department of Languages, Rachel Dedick, is considered to be stable and recovering at home. And An amount of 20 million has been allocated for the establishment of the Information Commission, which will be critical in the implementation of the newly passed Access to Information Act. This is according to Information Minister Peya Mushelenga, who said the ministry received 65 million Namibian dollars for the 2023-2024 financial year to carry out its core mandate. During his budget motivation speech, Mushelenga stressed that the ATI law will ensure that Namibians have unhindered access to information and will enable them to make informed decisions about their lives and their livelihoods, allow them to participate in democratic processes, and enhance transparency and accountability, which are cornerstones in building public trust. The Namibian police has kicked off a huge recruitment campaign, which, according to Inspector General of the Namibian Police, Joseph Shikongo, will add more than 1,000 members to the police force manpower. Shikongo made this announcement last Friday at the Israel Patrick Iyambo Police College in the capital. This initiative, supported by the central government, is necessary because the police force is shrinking rapidly, he said. Afrikaans daily newspaper Republicaans page 3 reports that the Anti-Corruption Commission Director General Paulus Noah yesterday said Friday's meeting with the National Petroleum Corporation of Namibia Managing Director Emmanuel Mulunga went very well, and depending on a scrutiny of the submitted information, the commission might summon board members too. Mulunga arrived at ACC with 2 members of his management team, Noah confirmed. AZ reports that the Deputy Minister of Mines and Energy, Cornelia Shilunga, has told Parliament that Namibia is also exploring for oil and gas on the Namibian continental shelf in order to rely on its own energy supply. The Ministry of Labour has criticized that it had been allocated too small a budget. Meanwhile, some legislative changes are pending in the area of labour and insurance. After the break, we return with more newspaper review. Stay with us.
Sport Wrap is a daily show focusing on all sport news and current affairs. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact sportwrap@synergy.com.na.
Let's continue with our newspaper review. Legal action has been instituted against the Ohangwena Governor Valde Ndevashia after he allegedly failed to settle payment for a tailored suit worth 49,400 Namibian dollars he bought from a clothing shop at Oshakati in July last year, the Namibian newspaper report. In a separate report, the Director of Tourism and Gaming in the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism, Sebulona Chikalu, said the ministry is set to meet with the Namibian Tourism Board to discuss a new regulatory body for the tourism industry. A number of clinics and hospitals in the northern regions are currently experiencing a shortage of vaccines for children, forcing mothers to obtain these from private pharmacies. This is according to the Namibian newspaper, which further reports that the shortage is said to have been observed since last year, while many of the clinics and hospitals have only experienced a shortage since early January. The newly created positions of Senior Inspector will cost the Namibian police at least 18.9 million Namibian dollars a year for the promoted officers. The positions comes after a salary scale between 337,983 and 403,922 Namibian dollars a year. The average is 370,900 995 Namibian dollars. If the average is multiplied by 51, the number of beneficiaries, it results in 18.9 million Namibian dollars a year. The new rank of senior inspector is at grade 6 with a salary scale of 337,984 to 403,922 Namibian dollars. The introduction of the new rank will be done in phases. The first phase has benefited about 51 members, and the second phase will resume in the next financial year. Deputy Inspector General and Administration Mayor General Anna Marie Nainda said upon inquiry, the new rank was necessitated by the pay disparity that exists between the position of inspector and chief inspector. The Trans-Kalahari and Mamuno port of entry will now be operating 24 hours every day. The initiative comes as a fulfillment of the directive of both the Namibian and Botswana president that the two countries facilitate the implementation of the agreement on the 24-hour operation issued at a bi-national commission meeting in September 2022. The countries on Saturday launched the 24-hour operation at Trans-Kalahari Mamuno border post, which is expected to boost trade between the neighbors. An estimated 15 billion Namibian dollars worth of import-export transactions are processed annually at the Mamuno border post, and 8,800 commercial trucks carrying cargo across Mamuno Trans-Kalahari border post are facilitated on average monthly basis. A total value of notes and coins that circulated in the economy in 2022 stood at 4.8 billion Namibian dollars compared to the 4.7 billion Namibian dollars in 2021. An increase of 2.4% according to the Bank of Namibia annual report. This is reported in the Market Watch, which adds that the value of notes in circulation stood at 4.6 billion Namibian dollars in 2022 compared to 4.5 billion Namibian dollars in 2021. Coins in circulation during 2022 were valued at 267.9 million Namibian dollars in 2022 relative to 257.9 million Namibian dollars in the previous year. The Bank of Namibia has the sole mandate to produce and issue the Namibian currency. Namibia's Green Hydrogen Commissioner James Nyupe says a program of 93 masters and vocational scholarships in the green hydrogen area is worth about 85 million Namibian dollars. More on this in our economic news when we return. Stay with us.
Namibia's hospitality is as vibrant as its people. Join the What's Cooking team as they travel the country cooking, chatting, and celebrating local personalities and the joy of food. If you think you have a standout offering, whether it's a restaurant, bar, pop-up event, or braai stand, get in touch with the What's Cooking team at cooking@synergy.com.na, and we will be there to show the world what's cooking. Programs air every Friday at 4 p.m. on all the NMH Facebook platforms, as well as on NTV, DSTV channel 285, and GoTV channel 94 at 9 p.m.
In our economic news this afternoon, Namibia's Green Hydrogen Commissioner James Nyupe says a program of 93 masters and vocational scholarships in green hydrogen area is worth about 85 million Namibian dollars, with 33 million Namibian dollars already having been spent. The remainder will stay in the kitty to roll out more scholarships and pilot projects to capacitate Namibians to take part in the sector, as the country gears up to roll out its green hydrogen project, he said. Nyube made the remarks during a launch and awarding ceremony, which was officiated by German Minister of Education and Research Bettina Stark-Wetzinger and her Namibian counterpart Ita Kanji Morangi. Nyube pointed out that the project will be driven by the German Federal Ministry of Education and Research through the Southern African Science Service Center for Climate Change and Adaptive Land Management. Now, SASCAL Executive Director Dr. Jane Olwach said she is confident the recipients will, upon completion of their studies, be guided and supported to take up opportunities in green hydrogen sectors, not only in Namibia but across the world. With the development of a new industry such as green hydrogen, research takes priority because it is necessary for policy and implementation, she added. Now let's have a look at our economic indicators. US dollar now trades for 17 Namibian dollars and 88 cents after a drop in value for the local currency. First Rand Namibia Ltd stock still trading at 32 Namibian dollars as prices remain unchanged on the Namibian Stock Exchange. Local index has closed 8.12% higher while overall index has fallen. Gold and Brent crude oil prices have increased, while a drop in price was observed on the commodities copper by 0.09% and zinc by 0.32%. Local officials in the East Democratic Republic of Congo says a landslide killed at least 19 people on Sunday morning. This story and more from the African continent coming up shortly.
Tourismus Namibia is a weekly tourism show that brings you the latest news in the tourism industry and topics related to that. If you would like to feature your brand or campaign on this platform, contact tourismus@synergy.com.na for news and advertising related queries. Tourismus, bring the world to Namibia.
Local officials in the east of the Democratic Republic of Congo says a landslide killed at least 19 people on Sunday morning. An official in the village of Bulwa in North Kivu province said the death toll was likely to rise. He said some numbers of group of women and children who had been washing laundry in a mountain stream were buried after the ground collapsed beneath them. The search of more victims will resume today, which is Monday. Now, the region has been battered 4 months by heavy rains which have triggered flooding and mudslides. In our next story, Rwanda's ruling party, the Rwandan Patriotic Front, on Sunday elected its first woman vice chairperson as President Paul Kagame retained the chairman position. Now, Consoli Uwamina was elected by 1,945 votes, about 93% of the vote cast. Observers say promoting her is the party's way of giving more power to women and keeping the ethnicity quota balance in its top leadership. Now, Miss Uwamina is a veteran banker and businesswoman who served as a senator between 2003 and 2013. Rwanda's next general election is scheduled for 2024. President Kagame has been president for the East African nation since 2000. A controversial referendum in 2015 removed a 2-term constitutional limit for presidents. On Sunday, Master Kagame got 99.8% of the total votes to retain leadership of the ruling party. Rwanda has one of the world's highest proportions of women in parliament and government. We return with the international news shortly. An Israeli former head mistress has been found guilty of sexually assaulting ex-students at an ultra-Orthodox Jewish girls' school in Australia. A jury on Monday found Malka Leifer, who raped and indecently assaulted sister Darcy Ulrich and Ellie Sepper between 2003 and 2007, but it found her not guilty of abusing third sister Nicole Meyer. Now, the 56-year-old had pleaded not guilty to over 24 charges and spent years fighting extradition from Israel. An Israeli judge ruled Leifer had been impersonating someone with mental illness and ordered her extradition to Australia in 2021. The 6-week trial in Victoria's County Court had evidence that the mother of 8 was a revered figure at Melbourne's Adas Israel School, where the 3 sisters were students. Now, prosecutor Justin Lowy told the court Leifer had taken advantage of the sisters' vulnerability and their ignorance in sexual matters and her position. Leifer was arrested at Australia's request in 2014, but 2 years later, an Israeli court suspended her extradition, ruling her to be mentally unfit for a trial. But undercover private investigators later filmed her shopping and depositing a check at a bank, leading Israeli authorities to investigate and re-arrest her in February 2018. A number of people wounded in a bomb blast killed a prominent Russian military blogger in St. Petersburg on Sunday has risen to 32 from 25 reported earlier, Russia's RI state news agency reported. Citing the Ministry of Health, RII reported on Monday that 10 of the people were in serious condition. Vladlen Tatarsky was killed at a St. Peter's cafe in what appeared to be a second assassination on Russian soil of a figure closely associated with the war in Ukraine. It was not immediately known who was behind the killing. Russia's State Investigative Committee said it had opened a major investigation. After the break, we return with local sports stories. Stay with us.
Straight Talk is a debate competition for high school learners and a spelling competition for primary school learners, mostly focusing on current affairs among the youth. Contact Zone at synergy.com.na to share your products and services. Straight Talk. Don't raise your voice, improve your argument.
Namibia's qualifying playoff for the 2023 Cricket World Cup against the United Arab Emirates in Windhoek once again did not produce the results the Richelieu Eagles had hoped for. UAE set up a fair 267 over 5 in 50 innings, but this was beyond the capabilities of the Eagle batsmen, who lost all their wickets for 239 in 48.4 overs with bad judgment errors in row. The beating cost the Eagles their second position in the standing. This means the Eagles have to win their last game against Canada today by a huge score and then hope that the United States of America, UAE and Canada lose their final encounters for the tournament by huge margins. Now, in our next story, athletics coach Letu Hamola has expressed dismay over a decision to force athletes to reduce their testosterone levels before they can compete. Now, the new regulations by the World Athletics send shockwaves across the countries. Now, this means that many athletes with high levels of testosterone, as well as those with differences in sex developments, will not be eligible to compete until they undergo treatment to reduce their hormones level. Now, this has resulted in Namibian sprinter Christine Boma and Beatrice Masilingi forcing a daunting future of uncertainty onto them. After the break, we return with highlights. Stay with us. Thank you very much for joining us on Thank you very much for joining us on NMH at 1. This has been our show. We'll be back tomorrow, same time, same place. Have a lovely Monday.